yeah, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Okay. Thanks everyone for coming. So today in this webinar, together with me, Albin, and with Pierre, we are going to present Bridging Ecology and ESG, Smarter Decision with Knowledge Graphs. So just a slide about us. So late last year, we, a semantic web company, have merged with OntoText. And the merger is called Graphwise. So now we have more than 200 team members. And you can see here some figures. We have more than 200 clients. And we are in business more than 20 years now. And in this map, you see the distribution of our team members. The majority of them are distributed in Vienna and Sofia, but also in other parts of the world. Good. So we start with this slide where the question is how to maximize AI impact. So from one side of the puzzle, we have the domain knowledge, and on the other side of the puzzle, we have the data science. So the question is how to integrate these two. And the risk is that the silo of data science leads to inaccurate models and missed insights. So what's the goal? The goal is to combine data science with domain expertise, equip teams with advanced inferencing and reasoning tools. So now we'll see a high-level system architecture. So you see on the bottom level, we have a lot of data on biodiversity. So be it in a structured form using in SQL or relational databases, or unstructured form like files of text. We also have a map layers, so in form of the shape files. So we need all these data set to basically tag to link and tag using a consistent semantic metadata. And this we do by using taxonomies, vocabularies, ontologies. And the result is a biodiversity knowledge graph. So basically bringing all this data together by applying these domain knowledge models. So the data now is in context. So this is the way how we apply the semantic layer. Now this biodiversity knowledge graph then can be accessed by different AI applications that can also use LLM. So whenever you ask a question now, no, you don't need to ask the question using a specific query language, like in our case is Sparkle, but you can just write in a natural form, and the LLM then will translate this query into the biodiversity knowledge graph. So basically it will exploit this knowledge that we have in the knowledge graph. This is what we call the GraphRec approach. So now we go into the challenges that are in relation to ecology, so more specific. So in ecology, we have a lot of data which are created by different authorities. So we have UNIS, we have IUCN, and each of those create this data, which are siloed in a way, so that we need to basically get this data. So first of all, to identify, then to integrate, semantify, and finally to reason with those. One property of the data is that also incomplete. Yeah. So now we will see how from this tabular data that these authorities are providing, how we can go to the graph data model. It is known that UNIS publishes different data on habitats. So we have the habitat version 2012, 17, 21, and so on. And this is data where you have data in tabular, basically rows and columns. And one way to go to a more flexible data model is graph data model. So basically, we map each row in a specific node. Then each column, we map it to a specific edge with a label on it. And each value, we map the cell value of the row and the column. So basically, for each row, we have this now graph representation. In this case, we have 2012, bottom we have 2017. And this is a more flexible data model because you can easier merge these two graphs. So you see, once you apply merging, you will see that you just have a new edge from this merge of two graphs. So merging graphs is very easy, but merging tabular data is hard. So this is why graph data model are good at. Now we want to go actually one step further, not just have the graph data model, but have a knowledge graph, which means that now not only we want to have the graph data model, but to each node we want to assign a specific URI, so a specific identity, so that is unique. And then to each property we want to assign a specific URI, and so on. And this has other the benefits that you can now leave the data in decentralized way, but make the relationship explicit. So in this case, we have made the relationship explicit from the habitat 2012 to 2017 by the relation SCOS exact match. And so people that manage the version 2012, they can still manage now in graph representation by using URIs and so on. And the other people can manage the 2017 version, but we preserve the relationships between these two, the so-called crossovers. Now, another property of the knowledge graph is that you can do ontological reasoning. So in this case, you see, we have acquired data from GLOBI. GLOBI is a short from Global Biotic Interactions, where for a certain species, it tells you all the interactions with other species. And so in this case, we have Ursus arctos, which is the brown bear, like with which species the brown bear is known to interact, so which one it eats and so on. Now, these are all the facts that you can get from GLOBI, but on top of that, you can actually use an ontology, which is already there. In this case, OBO relations, that we can just take it, and in the ontology, there are asserted certain axioms that we can use on this GLOBI data. For example, whenever we have it means that it biotically interacts with. And whenever it biotically interacts with, it implies interacts with, and so on. So basically, for each fact that we have in GLOBI, we will infer new implicit facts by just following the axioms or the rules in the ontology. And you can see now how the graph becomes bigger by having few explicit facts, and the ones that you have with a dashed line are implicit and are inferred by applying the rules in the ontology. Okay, so what is these all these types of semantic layers? So what are the key benefits? So we can start on the top of the bottom left from the business intelligence. So business intelligence is good because from your structured data you can make reporting, and this is very useful. But then you can make this even more useful by applying property graph, and this has a more flexible modeling that we have seen with the first conversion that we have from tabular to the graph data model. You can then query relationships and so on. But now what we want to do is actually have the knowledge graph on the right, which it is standards-based and interoperable because it has this URI, and it is based on linked data principles, but also it has all this reasoning that we discussed before. So in the context of the Nature First research project, we have developed the Nature First knowledge graph. And basically, this knowledge graph brings together different habitats that we saw that example before, like the version 2012, 17, and 21, but also connecting these habitats with different species. And then we also have Natura 2000 areas that connect these habitats and these species. So you can see here all these relationships that we have between different siloed data, but now in knowledge graph representation. Now, once this data is interconnected, basically it means that we can ask very complex questions by just following the nodes in the graph. For example, here we have, show me top 5 largest habitats that are close to Ankara's Corel. And now, using the nature first knowledge graph, you can answer this question, because also the proximity between Natura 2000 areas, it is also materialized in the knowledge graph. Good. So one other concept from data dimension is habitat suitability index for the species, but in our context, our main stakeholder is the brown bear. And habitat suitability index tells for a species this particular dimension, how suitable it is. Yeah. So for different habitat classes, you have a certain probability value telling you, okay, for this class of habitat, it has this probability value, let's say 0.5. So it means that it has 0.5 probability of how to say that of the suitability index for the brown bear. And then we have different kind of dimensions here. So elevation, so different elevations. And then we have distance to settlements and so on. So all these data dimensions that are coming from habitat suitability index, we actually manage in a pool party thesaurus manager. So that means that all this data now, it's from this tabular data is transformed into graph representation and now can be linked with other data. So in this case, since we have data on habitat classes already from nature first, we can just connect this to the nature first knowledge graph. One key benefit of connecting data is now that we can make more informed computations. So in this case, we have the data on habitat suitability index for the brown bear, and on the other side we also have map layers. So we have the map layers of habitat, slope, and aspect, and once we transform this in RDF in graph representation, now we can actually compute for an area for a certain point, like what is the aggregate habitat suitability index. So we call this intermediate habitat suitability index. So basically all the dimensions considered and like we had before, these were relevant for the brown bear according to the judgment of rewilding Apennines, but we can use any other weighting scheme if needed. And based on these map layers that coincide with these dimensions, then we can compute the aggregated habitat suitability index for each point in the map. So if we look at the whole architecture, so we have all the data on the left-hand side, and now we harmonize all this data, and we have this knowledge graph. And once we have the knowledge graph, what we saw in the previous step is that we compute this intermediate representation suitability index. And after that, this can be as input to a prediction model that is part of a digital twin. Digital twin can use this data, which is now contextualized in a graph structure, to make the prediction. So once it makes the prediction, then actually we can use again the knowledge graph to reason about those predictions. So this is kind of a feedback loop. So as an example, if the bear is predicted to be in a certain area that has a certain habitat containing species, we can increase or decrease the probability based on the species that are preferred by the bear. So basically, this feedback loop will then shape the circle here of probability values from the feedback that it gets from the knowledge graph. The underlying data model that we have consists of different components. So we have species taxonomic rank, habitat stability index, ecological knowledge model, and nature first knowledge graph. So species taxonomy rank is by definition of the species taxonomic rank. So basically for each species, we compute this hierarchy. And in each part of the hierarchy, you have the traits. So then you can inherit, you can reason, basically, you can inherit the traits, for example, on a genus level. The habitat stability index is something we already discussed, and the ecological knowledge model. This is the all the interaction between species, like in this case, Ursus arctos. But we also take into account season interfactor, like some species will appear on season or disappear, and so on. So basically, these triples will be added or removed on a graph based on the season. And since we also discuss, we have concepts on habitat and species, we always have these crossovers to the nature first knowledge graph. So on the background, nature first knowledge graph is kind of the backbone for all these models we have introduced here. So when we apply this architecture, this data architecture, when we apply in the context of the Ursus arctos, so here you see the simulation of probabilities, so where it will appear, and also it goes from 1 hour to 8 hours, so you can see this probability bubble increases. But in this case, we have only 2 map layers. So once we actually ingest more data, in this case, we have another map layer. You see now also it changes the outcome. So basically, it makes this decision support more smarter. So more details you can read on our papers. I also provide the links to those papers. Till now, I discussed about mainly structured data, but what Pierre is going to discuss now with ESG is also unstructured data. So basically, but here there also the same principle applied, where you have unstructured data, and then for each concept that appear there, we use a vocabulary, a taxonomy, to find those, and then those concepts are also contextualized in the taxonomy by Broders and so on. So basically, you can use the reasoning. Basically, you infer concepts by just following broader relationships and so on. Okay, now I leave to Pierre to discuss for the other part.
Okay, thank you, Albin, for this presentation. So I will share my screen now, so you can see my screen, right? And yeah, so my presentation will be much less technical than Albin. I will just explain you from the technology that Albin was presenting what we built as a SaaS inside the company, inside Graphwise. And so I'm the product manager for RECOmentor, the product that I will show you today, and I'm also the domain expert for this project in terms of ESG. So let's start. So the different client that we target with this product is consulting company, investor relation department, institutional investor and equity research department, credit institution, and sustainability department. I had already a meeting with Nature First some months ago, and Albin asked me to present this tool because I think for you also, our ability to extract information from report and our ability to create KPIs with it could be quite interesting for your project also, and for the people in your project. So there's a big sustainability demand, so the regulation increased a lot. This tool helps you to be much more time efficient in the way of when you build the tool with us, and when we do the setting in the tool in new disposition, you are able very fast to extract from thousands of reports that you put inside the tool, the information that you want. So yeah, a lot of flexibility and customization inside the tool. What's the need? This helps you a lot. What I heard from Nature First is that this could help you a lot also to see the gap between one framework or one rule that you want to follow and the report that you're producing at the moment, or about the data that you have. This can treat a lot of different type of data. At the moment is report, but as Albin was presenting, you can use different type of data. So this can help you to compare some report that you built or some report that you have with report that are writing by other corporation. This could be useful for this point. Okay, so the core feature is comprehensive framework coverage, peer benchmarking, quantitative indicator, and blended topic and custom views. Very high level architecture. Albin was presenting already quite a lot of technical stuff, so I will go fast in this part. So you have the ESG framework and the knowledge model. After you have the company data and the ESG report. So we extract from the web report from company, and we use this report to put it in our knowledge graph. And to get some information from company also, we use a third-party data that help us to have all the information about the company, about, for example, the number of employees or the geographical zone of the company. All this stuff that will help us to do filtering the different companies that are inside the tool. And yeah, and from this, we build ecological, we build knowledge endpoint echo, but also you can build your own solution if you want. So I think this flexibility could be very useful in the project like Nature First. So yeah, huge adaptability and the huge potential for Nature First is that you can go beyond exactly this type of report and framework. We can build together for different type of framework, for different type of report, for different type of data that you have. So quickly about the framework, you take a framework in the ESG knowledge model. You have different points in the framework, as you can see on this slide. You describe the concept found in the report. For example, in this example is a framework. It's a report from KPMG. You compare this report with the framework, and after you build a report inside based on the framework. I will present you quickly the different metrics, and to conclude my presentation, I will show you the tool, and after we can have some questions together. So the different, you have level of coverage, specificity, ambition, and risk and opportunity. So now let's go more deep about the presentation. Level of coverage, what is it? Is to explain to you how much you speak about the subject, and this could help you, for example, when you have a subject, to identify critical gaps, optimize balance, meet stakeholder expectation, and benchmark against peers or benchmark against other reports that you built before. So yeah, let's continue. Level of specificity. So level of specificity explain you how deep you go about a subject. So level of coverage explain you how much you go. The level of specificity explain you how deep you go about a subject. The value is that to demonstrate credibility about some point, to highlight where you can add numerical target, deadline, or the specific strengths, transparency, and this helps you to answer the question: where can we advise our client to add or report, to add some date, figures, metrics to meet regulatory or investor expectations. So you have a level of ambition. So this one evaluate all forward thinking and committed your statement are about 1.4. For example, if you take pollution, how deep you want to catch this problem and solve it, and how you explain it. So the value for Nature First is tell you if you are setting clear time-bound target action, It's all the actionable points that you put about different point about the framework. So the main question is, which ESG statement in the client report lack action on how can we help them set bolder targets? And the last one is also, I think, could be very useful in your work, as Albin was presenting me your work, is risk and opportunities. And this one helps you to understand the risk, how to prepare yourself about the risk, how to target the opportunities, and how to be able to evaluate these opportunities in the future to be able to prepare it and prepare action about it. So identify mention of preceding risk and opportunities in ecological within your ESG report or inside your data, for example. So value for nature first is quickly highlight the most pressing ESG risk you need to address and help compare all your risk profiles stack up against industry peers or best performers, or this could be about other report, etc., etc. And the question is, which client risks need immediate attention, or where can they gain competitive advantage through ESG? Yeah. So now I will present you the tool by itself, present something else, ESG Navigator. Boom. So now I'm presenting the tool. Now you can see it, great. So this is ecological. So I can put a company. Wow. Okay. So I can put a company, for example, Merckx. I can choose a framework, for example, ESRS. Okay. I can choose the peers, for example, company with peers will be, so I choose Merckx. In the middle, the framework will be ESRS. And now, for example, I can choose company that will have more than 250 employees. I apply, and now I will have the calculation. As you can see in this version of the tool, you just have level specificity, ambition, and impact. And in the future, you will have coverage, specificity, ambition, and we change impact. We get in two parts in risk and opportunities. I will be happy to present you in the next months the new version of the tool if needed. So at the moment, this doing the calculation between Merckx, the framework, and the different peers. This took some time because at the moment in the tool we have I think 750 peers, and in the close future we will have 200,000 reports. So now you can see that you already have scoring. This is the overview. So you have like peer average, peer median. You can very fast translate to some graph, okay? And for example, if I want to focus on environment, I can click there. And now what's very interesting is that you will see, so I'm focusing on pollution. So what's happened is that you can see a yellow part that is right by the LLM. And in this part, this will summarize what's my report is speaking about pollution. And in the white part, this will show you all the paragraphs in my report that speak about pollution, but also all the paragraphs of my peers that are speaking about pollution. Okay, in the future, what's happening in this yellow zone, writing by the LLM, is that, so now it's just about Merckx. What's happening in the future is that you will have one part that speaks about the company that you choose. So at the moment, Merckx. We'll have one paragraph about the different peers, and the last paragraph will be Merckx versus the peers. So in yellow, you have the paragraph right by the LLM, okay? And there in white, you have all the paragraph. And for example, let's say I want to focus on this paragraph. I can see it, I can go like show more, okay? And I have more of the paragraph. But what's very interesting is that, for example, there for Konica, for example, I want to see the report. I go there, and this show me exactly the part of Connie of this company that speak about pollution. Yeah. So let's come back to the tool. Okay, I have 6 more minutes. So what I'm able to show you also is the knowledge hub. So as I show you, is built in the same type of technology, and the knowledge hub is just a chatbot, and built on RAG, and this will help you. So you can choose your persona, and you can ask questions. For example, what is circular economy? And I choose generalist, okay, and there I will have different answer. I will have the one long answer, but the very important thing is that, as you know, is that the level of hallucination is very low. I'm able to see from which sources this is coming. I will see one part of the takeaway. I will have some image about it, some question about it to go more deeply, etc., etc. Yeah, and in terms of company, one of our competitive advantage compared with the simple LLM, and how I sell it to the client in terms of ESG, that I tell them that is 2 main points. The first of all is that the level of hallucination is quite low, but also we have the ability, if the knowledge hub point echo don't know the answer, it can send you to the good person inside your company that could help you. So this will help this type of specialist in the company to not answer easy question all day long and to filtering the question. Yeah. So now let's come back to the presentation. My mouse is there. Boom. And yeah. And that's all for me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Pierre. Albin, would you like to take some questions now?
Yeah, sure. If there are any questions.
Yeah, perfect. So feel free to put questions in the chat, or now it's also the time to unmute yourself if you would like to take to ask a question directly to Albin or Pierre. I think maybe one more practical question I have from my side, Albin, that I know Atadis will probably ask if the slides can be shared. I think we can share the slides together with the recording afterwards, right, Albin?
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. Any question on the content of the presentations? I don't see questions in the chat, but yeah, I don't know if from your side, Albin, Pierre, you have anything else to add?
Yeah, so if anyone has any question, you can just write us email, and I think we can just answer them. I know there is a lot of information now to grasp, and so I know it takes a little bit of time to process all that. So, but if you have any questions later on, we are very happy to provide the answers.
Yeah, I think indeed it might take some time to questions might arrive later on. So if we can send together with the recording the slides, and then they have all your contact details, they can connect with you probably on LinkedIn as well. Yeah, we can do it that way. I just wanted to then mention that we also have an upcoming physical conference with the Nature First project that will be around the innovation and collaboration around biodiversity conservation in the Netherlands, happening 25th and 26th of June. together with the slides and the recording of the webinar, we can also send you the link to learn more about this conference, and maybe you can also connect with Albin and Pierre physically over there in the Netherlands. It will be 2 days full of panel discussions and exhibition areas around this broad topic of biodiversity conservation. So feel free to check it out. We will send you all the detailed information. Okay. If there is no more question, now is the time, or stay silent forever? No.
I don't have a question. Maybe just a little bit of follow-up on discussion on what, not really questions, but more like what you saw is technical, sometimes a bit technical, but it's also very, very, it's not that difficult. It looks maybe difficult, but it's not always that conceptually not that difficult to understand. We had a discussion earlier today with another organization who's working on taxonomies for all kinds of different species. So the taxa, like from butterflies or birds or any other species or pollinators in this case, they are important, but they are often collections, private collections in musea and other places. And they often have difficulties to combine and bridge the different taxonomies that are in place and to talk about these collections coherently as if they are just one big data source. But of course, they are hundreds of data sources and they are not integrated, and they are not easily to understand or to harvest, to ask questions to, without a graph technology as Albin and Pierre have shown. And the crossovers that Albin mentioned are very practical linkages between what a concept, or they call it a digital representation of something which is in the real world. For example, a bird could be, for example, a meadow, let's say, what bird can we think of? A crow. The crow is a digital object, so to speak. And it has lots of information. It has a picture maybe of the crow, and you have information about where it breeds, how old it can get, what kind of habitat it likes, and all those other things. And those relations can all be mapped with a graph. And then you can start asking very informative questions. A very simple one like the bear, which habitats does it like? And what kind of food resources can I find in that habitat? And which are the times of the years that I can find blueberries, for example, if the bear likes blueberries. So it's a way of organizing your data in a very flexible way. If you talk about biology, you actually talk about the web of life. And the graph is a very suitable, because it's also a web, it's actually one of the best, if not the best technology to describe, to document, and to create a database about this web of life. And if you are working in biology or in research related to ecology and many different species and interactions between these species, then these graph technologies are very helpful to organize your data without spending too much time on, modeling with all your data before you can use it for AI or for modeling, of your creating a digital twin of the bear, human wildlife complex, and so on. And we do have also during the conference a few demos, and also during webinars like this, we have demos to show the power of this way of organizing the data. So it's resulting in a lot of, let's say, saving of time in organizing your data. It gives you autonomy, because not everyone has to adhere to the same standards. If you are an organization you would like to use or work with one taxonomy, then you can, and another organization can work with another. And through this technology that Albin and Pierre presented, you can harmonize and bring the data together and then query the whole thing as if it was just one resource. So very, very powerful indeed. And if you are working in this sphere, then it would be nice if you can give an example. And maybe we can discuss here how we would approach a problem that you have with managing your data. Because in essence, it's information management. It's managing the data that you've got from internal, external, from many different silos, and making it and turning it into a good use. Almost everyone is involved in that, so I would be surprised if there's no use cases around the table here to have a look at how this technology could help you in your work. Maybe we can just ask. I see names that I don't know, so maybe Bieke van der Korst or Stephanie Valani or any other person, if you have a use case or an interest in graphs, maybe good to hear what your particular interests are. Can I ask you, Bieke van der Korst, is that if you are not too shy, or if it's not too direct, what brought you to this presentation?
Sorry. I wasn't prepared for this, but
No, I'm just, I'm sorry for.
no problem.
Not direct, but.
Well, what brought me here is that it's combining two interests. It's about of course, the nature first thing, but also knowledge management, where you have different technologies for. And I've been into information management, knowledge management for quite a while. And we had different approaches for it, but I think we see that it's been applied now. Yeah, finally. The ideas have been around for a really long time. Yeah,
True.
It's a semantic web story, and we had other technologies, but now it's kind of landing. I'm working at as a what do you call it? External for the Ministry of Internal Affairs, which deals with official publications, legislation, where we do have issues with that, for that too. Yeah.
So the power of what you saw here is that you can combine complete books with laws and regulations and schemes like the ESGs and other frameworks, and combine them very, very flexibly and play around how to extract the data from all these documents and all the reports and the compliance reports, and extract the data from these reports in I don't know.
Yeah, it's giving meaning to data sets and also other information sets, which is not only readable for humans anymore.
Machine readable. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Are you working with graphs already? Graph technology?
I have been working with them. We do have at our department linked data in wet.nl, so it's an official legislation site, and we're working with links between different types of legislation and case law and all that kind of things, but it's kind of old technology, should be rebuilt. And we also, I started up a reference data store, because you see every project has its own lists of provinces, cities, countries. And we'd like to centralize them in an authoritative source. So that's one of the things I've been working on. But I'm looking for new applications also.
Did you have a takeaway from these presentations? Something you think, this is new, or this is something now it finally reached the point that it can be used?
Well, I like the map layer part of it.
The semantic map layer.
Yeah.
That's very powerful indeed.
Okay, and from your job, in which part of your job, of your workflow, you will see a usable solution from what we present today? Like in which part of your workflow you would like to use this type of graph, knowledge graph?
Not directly, no.
Okay. But
But
if I
we'll think about it.
understand well, your job is to be compliant with complex law, right?
No, we're at the source of legislation. Yeah. It's the let's say the electronic publisher for the government.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, but so you help the government. Can you explain a little bit more what you're doing, please?
Well, that takes a long time now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we
Maybe another time, maybe at the conference.
Another time, we'll do. So maybe some other one, maybe Simona Capelli or Xilona Blanco, any Abbas. I see Abbas around here. Also new names to me. Any takeaways from this presentation, or what brought you here? What kind of interest? What raised your interest to follow this webinar? Can I ask you, Xilona, if no audio? Okay, no problem. Then I ask Simona Capelli. And don't feel forced. If you don't want to, then there's no problem, of course. Maybe Abbas? If you want to talk, you first have to switch on your mic. All right. Well, it's I'm putting you a bit on the stage. I can imagine that does not feel very comfortable. So we can go to close. If you have any questions anytime, then please reach out to Albin and Pierre or myself or anyone from the Nature First team. It was a pleasure having you. Then I give the floor back to Rita. Rita, it's yours.
Thanks, Jan Kees. Yeah, I think we can close here. Of course, as I said previously, then we will send you the slides with Pierre and Albin's emails, and you can also connect with them on LinkedIn. And we will also put some information about the final conference and some emails to reach out from your side for the final conference if you would like to discuss to be a speaker, have a booth, or simply attend, be involved in any possible way. We can always continue the conversation. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks to Pierre, Albin, for your presentations.
Thank you, everyone.
And yeah, have a great evening later.
If you have any question anytime, please don't be shy and reach out, and we can discuss your case or your questions and see if we can be of help. Very nice. Thank you very much. Have a nice afternoon.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
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 Okay, Cassiaman.
Yeah, I'm here. If you need it.
Oh.
Yeah, Rita left. Okay.
Rita left. Okay. So I'll monitor the saving of the recording, and then once I get it, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And the slides you have, I think, right?
Yeah, Rita have sent to me slides.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Thank
Thank you. Oh, Kasia, one more thing. I as a test, I changed the ownership of next week's webinar to you. I don't know if you received a message about that.
I received the message and I clicked the link, and then it led me to my event calendar. So I don't know if you received any notification that I accepted the ownership or something, but I did this.
Okay.
Like I've clicked the link. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So let's see if then next week you can you are like the owner, because I think only the owner can assign co-hosts and co-owners.
Okay.
So, but I will be there as well next week. So in case it doesn't work, we can do it on the spot. But
Yeah.
the following week, the 30th, I may not be able to the Melanie webinar. So I was thinking maybe we can test next week and then learn from there and go from there. So let's see how it goes. And when I get the recording, I'll immediately send it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, have a nice day.
Yeah, thank you. Same to you. Bye.
Bye-bye.